If you don't know, this is the face of the guy who heinously, cowardly took the lives of, I believe the total right now is 15 people in New Orleans right after the New Year's. And here is him before, quote unquote, he was radicalized as he promotes being in real estate.
Good evening. I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar, property manager with Blue Meadow Properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty. I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch.
Terror on Bourbon Street.
There were just bodies and the screams. You cannot think about, unhear that. It was chaos and very, very scary.
Everything in the car is hitting, it's getting thrown.
The vehicle ran through a crowd of people. There's multiple injuries, multiple casualties. They need to canal in Bourbon.
Just hours after the clock struck midnight, the driver in a pickup truck went around barricades, according to police, killing those celebrating New Year's Eve along the iconic street. At least 15 people were killed, dozens others injured.
This is not just an act of terrorism. This is evil.
This is probably one of the most evil things you could potentially do. And we're going to get into his motives a little bit later. And we're actually going to see some footage, the safe footage, the footage that's blurred out of the aftermath and the beginning of the attack. Some people barely were able to escape, right? Here's a scene right here where no one was hurt during this, thank goodness, but you can just see the speed in which he was driving past. As people narrowly escape, just getting past. But let's continue with the story.
The suspect, identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old man from Texas who previously served in the U.S. military. He was driving a privately rented pickup truck from Turo, an Airbnb-type rental site for cars.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
Once the vehicle stopped, the driver reportedly opened fire on responding police officers.
Law enforcement returned fire, and the subject was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 law enforcement officers were injured and transported to local hospitals.
Witnesses are asking questions about why the city's steel mechanical barricades weren't up prior to the attack.
There was police there at the entrance, a lot of police there, but the metal barricades were not up.
Bollards were not up because they are near completion.
The FBI, which has taken over the investigation, does not believe the suspect acted alone.
We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
And the Sugar Bowl for college football, scheduled to be held in New Orleans this evening, has been postponed.
Now, when it comes to the Sugar Bowl, guys, tickets are now $11. No one is trying to travel to New Orleans. And it sucks because, this is somewhat a touristy spot. I've been there before, and that street is very narrow. And I know the economy is likely going to hurt because of the lack of tourism and all the people who were in town for the Sugar Bowl who left.
All agree that it's in the best interest of everybody and public safety that we postpone the game for 24 hours.
And we are starting to learn more about the now 15 who were killed as a result of this attack, including 37-year-old Reggie Hunter from Baton Rouge. He had just texted his family Happy New Year a little earlier in the evening, according.
Now, I'm not going to get into all the people passing. And, Answer 06, who is military, says, sadly, this won't be the last issue. Please be safe out there. See something, say something. And the thing about see something and say something is a great practice. However, there was no time to see something or per se say something, because I'll show you the beginning of the attack was hard to stop per se. As you see, what you're about to see is he is in this white truck right here. He's in this white truck, and what he's about to do is circumvent the barricade. Now I'm going to pause it because as you see right here, let's zoom in. As you see, this is the police car right here. This is the assailant or the terrorist, the domestic terrorism. He is about to go around and drive in there. Now, I'm not going to show you the rest because it's a bit grotesque per se. But let's get into people talking about the scene, and we're going to get into the Tesla thing as well, and the identity of this guy and what potentially set him off.
FBI is conducting searches across multiple states. 15 people are dead, many more injured after a man plowed his truck through crowded New Orleans streets just after the new year. 3 major questions this morning. Were there any accomplices? Was this attack tied to the Cybertruck explosion outside a Trump hotel in Las Vegas? There are notable similarities. Was this attack actually directed by ISIS or just inspired by the terror?
Now, these attacks happen simultaneously, and there are people who share the belief that they are connected. And we're going to get a live update from the FBI that recently released just hours ago. But shout out to Mr. Monster, who says, you know, Happy New Year, Power Rangers for life, for life. Love this channel. This is the best. RIP to all the victims. Yeah, man. RIP to all the victims, man. Could you imagine being out there celebrating? This is one of the reasons why I do avoid large crowds.
Or a group. Just a short time ago, we learned the New Orleans attacker pleaded guilty to DUI charges in 2015, and police shared new details about a series of videos he allegedly recorded, one of which includes a pledge to ISIS. This morning, we're also learning more about the victims as witnesses now describe what they saw.
We heard the gunshots and everyone started running, and then they ended up locking us in the building, and they shut all the doors, told us to get down. And when we came outside, that's when we saw the truck that was crashed right outside where we were at. And we saw the first responders trying to save a young man, and they were working on him for so long, and we were just hoping and praying he was going to survive. But there was no life in him at all.
Now to the Tesla Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas, just outside the doors of a Trump International hotel there. Surveillance video showing the powerful blast. Authorities are still trying to figure out if that was an act of terror or, as John mentioned, somehow linked to the attack in New Orleans. CNN's Veronica Miracle has more on that story.
Our John Miller is telling us he has spoken to multiple law enforcement officials who say that the driver of the Cybertruck has a military background. Now, law enforcement officials say they know the name of this driver who died in the explosion, but they are not going to be releasing the identity of that driver until they notify the next of kin.
Now, here's the thing. That driver, excuse me, he was also military. I believe he was a Green Beret when I looked it up earlier. And he took his life tragically before it. But what I don't see, we'll get the FBI update real quick of this guy's motivations, and there's a small component to this guy's story that kind of gets swept under the rug, rightfully so, because of the heinous act he did. But it's important nonetheless.
And our law enforcement partners here are also reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance and other video from both the French Quarter and other locations. As for a timeline, at this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m.
Now, here's the thing: when it comes to his videos, them shits have not leaked anywhere. Not leaked. You just hear them giving a recap. And bystanders found the 2 things in an ice chest and did nothing with the information. Could have been a lot worse. Thank God the cops found him. We'll talk about that. Did he have accomplices? Because the news, what was reported was they did see people planting what looks to be IEDs in random locations throughout the city. What were their role?
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. The FBI team.
So he wanted to hurt his friends and families first, but didn't want to take away from his mission. Now, what most people are overlooking or not saying is this guy was recently divorced, right? And as a result of his divorce, people say he snapped or whatever. And I've told you, as I've covered divorce plenty of times, is when a man goes through a divorce, he's 9 times likely to hurt himself. All right. And in this case, he did want to hurt himself. And he wanted to take lives with him on the way out. And it's unfortunate, but I'm not trying to blame the divorce in any way, shape, or form for, what he did. But divorced men are vulnerable, very vulnerable. Like I said, it increases the chances you want to take your life, and then you want to find you lose your family. And his ex-wife, was able to obtain a protection order against him. Looks for good cause. And as a result, there are a lot of people saying how he became radicalized. And here is, I believe this is Las Vegas, talking about the Cybertruck and what happened.
Livelsberger, he's of Colorado Springs, Colorado, born July 22nd of 1987. His body is burnt beyond recognition, and I do still not have confirmation 100% that is the individual that was inside of our vehicle. Our subject.
So, and Answer 06 saying that the Vegas guy was a Green Beret Master Sergeant's Weapons and Demolition Specialist. Hence, the Tesla that did burn up. Here's the angle. Here's an angle of it that you guys could see. It had gasoline and mortar fireworks.
All right, play it. Copy.
And he tragically took his life prior. Now, I do have another angle of it right here. You hear the fireworks? So 2 guys. It sucks. It's definitely putting the army in a bad place when you see 2 people from your group in the military becoming what looks to be domestic terrorists. And that's just what it is. As far as his accomplices, if you read the article on TMZ, it was just people looking for a drink. Literally. It was literally people looking for a drink. They were not helping them plant bombs around the corner. They were party people looking for their next drink. But in the end of the day, 15 people have lost their lives. 30 more or dozens more are injured because this guy got radicalized. So they say, I'm sure more information to come out. But what do you think about this state of what happened in New Orleans? There are people who believe that there are going to be more instances like this. And the thing you could do is protect yourself at all times. Protect yourselves. But let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you next video. Peace.